If you're running a business, you know the frustration. You've invested in automation, but your most complex operations, well, they still need a lot of manual handholding. So today, we're diving into Agentic AI. This is a totally new way of thinking about automation. It's not about making tasks faster, it's about automating complexity itself. We're going to focus on the real-world business value and how this can finally deliver on that promise of true, hands-off automation. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about the automation dead end that I'm sure a lot of you have run into. Then, we'll get into the new kind of autonomy that Agentic AI brings to the table. After that, we'll peek under the hood and see how it actually thinks. We'll see its agility advantage in action. And finally, we'll figure out how you can put your new business agent to work. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's kick things off with a feeling that's probably all too familiar, hitting the limits of our current automated systems. I mean, this is the big question, right? It's what keeps business leaders up at night. Why are we still babysitting our most critical multi-step workflows? The honest answer is that traditional automation is, well, it's brittle. It's built for a world that's predictable, but we all know business is anything but. And that right there, that's the automation dead end. It's costing us big time in money, agility, and maybe most importantly, human potential. So, to really get the solution, we first need to understand the landscape. Let's take a quick look at how AI has evolved, because you'll see pretty quickly why Agentic AI isn't just a small step forward. It's a massive leap. So first up, you've got generative AI. We all know it, we all use it. It's an amazing content creator, no doubt. But here's the catch. It's kind of stuck in the past. It can't actually interact with the world in real time. Think of it like having a brilliant strategist who can write a perfect plan, but can't actually pick up the phone to execute it. It's useful, for sure, but it's got its limits. Okay, then we have AI agents. Now, these are the rule followers of the AI world. They're pretty good at performing specific tasks, fetching data, filling out a form, but they're stuck on a fixed track. They have zero ability to adapt when something unexpected happens, and let's be real, that's where most of our complex workflows actually fall apart. And this really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you have that rigid, rule-based system. It's predictable, sure, but it's brittle. It breaks easily. But on the other side, you've got agentic automation. It's agile. It's designed from the ground up to adapt, to plan, to reason. This isn't just an upgrade. It's a fundamental shift in how we can tackle our most complex problems. Which brings us to agentic AI itself. See, this kind of system doesn't just follow a command. It understands your goal. It can figure out the objectives on its own, create a strategy from scratch, and, this is the key part, change its actions as new information comes in. This is where we finally get to a truly high level of autonomy. So what's really going on inside the brain of an agentic AI? Well, it's got this multi-step reasoning to plan its attack. It's a master of dynamic tool use. It just grabs whatever digital tool it needs whenever it needs it. But the real secret sauce? It's these feedback loops for self-correction. It is constantly learning, constantly checking its work, and fixing its own mistakes. That's what makes it so incredibly resilient and adaptive. Okay, that's enough theory. Let's make this real. What does this whole thinking process actually look like when you give it a complex, real-world business request? Take a look at this prompt. This isn't a simple find me a flight command. It's a goal with a bunch of different constraints that all depend on each other. A standard AI agent would just crash and burn here, but an agentic system, this is exactly what it was built for. So here's how it tackles it. First, it doesn't just see the words, it understands the intent. Then it maps out a strategy, breaking the big problem down into smaller steps. Then it actually interacts with the real world, using tools, APIs to get live data. And here's the cool part. It adapts on the fly. If something changes, it just adjusts the plan. And finally, it executes, giving you a solution that actually meets all of your original needs. But here's the real magic. What happens when things go wrong? Because in business, things always go wrong. A traditional system would just spit out an error message and quit. An agentic system, though, it adapts. And this is that real-time problem-solving in action. It finds out your visa is expired, it hits pause on the booking and lets you know. The weather forecast suddenly turns rainy, no problem. It suggests different dates or even a different city. Flights are over budget, it goes and finds the next best option. You see, this isn't just automation, it's autonomous problem-solving. And that is what frees up your team to focus on the high-value work they should be doing. Now that we've seen it in action, let's put these different AI models side by side. You'll really see the agility and the massive business advantage agentic AI brings to the table. I mean, this table pretty much says it all. Just look at the progression here. We go from simply generating content to planning, reasoning, and actually acting. We go from having no real-time tool access to dynamically using multiple tools at once. And most importantly, look at that last row. We're going from low autonomy to high autonomy. This is the leap from just having a simple tool to having a true strategic partner. And if you're a visual person, this chart makes it crystal clear. Generative AI and the older AI agents, they're valuable, don't get me wrong, but they're really just incremental steps. Agentic AI is a giant leap forward. It offers a level of autonomy that can finally handle the messy, dynamic, multi-step workflows that actually run a modern business. All right, so what does all of this mean for you and your business? How do you go from, understanding this idea to actually getting value out of it? So, picking the right tool for the job is step one, obviously. But for you, as a leader, the bigger question is, how do you even start? The key, and this is really important, is to phase these systems in. You don't want to risk your core operations, so start with a workflow that's high in complexity, but maybe lower in criticality. Prove the value, show the ROI there. Then you can aim it at your mission-critical operations. This quote just nails it. The future really is about automating complexity. And as you start rolling these agents out, how do you know if you're succeeding? It's not just about speed. You want to focus on three critical things. First, a reduction in the number of manual interventions your team has to make each week. Second, a drop in your process error rates. And third, a real improvement in the cycle time for that whole complex workflow from start to finish. That's the real ROI. So I'll just leave you with this challenge. Take a really hard look at your business. Where are the bottlenecks? Where are your best people getting bogged down in those complex manual processes that they hate? Because that's exactly where your first autonomous agent belongs. The question really isn't if you can automate complexity anymore, it's where are you going to start. Thanks for tuning in.